Hello everyone and welcome to SplitSecond. My name is Sequeira and I will be taking you through today's match. To celebrate reaching 4,000 subscribers, we will be randomly giving away a Watchtower 100. To win, all you have to do is pledge as a patron of any tier until the end of this month. This box was graciously sponsored by our awesome LGS, Arena Porto. Now on with the show. This week we're playing me with my Sethron tribal/combo deck, Luís playing a Neheb Hags list, David with infect Brokkos, and Baal with his Edric taking turns. Let's look into our starting hands. I won the roll for this match. In my hand there's an Arid Mesa and an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth for lands. I have a bunch of Minotaurs like Ancrop Crasher and Fellhide Spiritbinder, but more importantly, an Universal Automaton and a Soul Reaper of Mogis, which, if I manage to get myself a Dockside Extortionist and a Cloudstone Curio, can win me the game on the spot. Diabolic Intent, the last card in my hand, could help me in accomplishing this goal. Luís was super unlucky this time around, having to mulligan down to 5. He kept a Mana Crypt and a Sensei's Divining Top to help him immediately fix his draws. His lands are Snow Mountain and Prismatic Vista, which can shuffle the top of his library if necessary. Finally, Luís kept the Seize the Day, which is a combo piece and also overall good value for Neheb. He sent to the bottom a Codex Shredder and a Wasteland. David mulligan once, and his hand is moderately slow. He has a forest, island, and his own Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth for lands. Arcane Signet and Chrome Mox can ramp him up, but he doesn't necessarily have something to pitch into the Mox. Tainted Strike could be used as a finisher if he finds the power to get him there, and Eternal Witness can be used to record the strike or whatever else he requires. Baal's hand is pretty decent. City of Brass and Prismatic Vista cover his colors. He can cast Elvish Mystic for early ramp, which, along with Cloud of Fairies, could mean 3 creatures on turn 2, one of them an Edric. Finale of Devastation can be used to get him something like Tetsuko Umezawa or Eladamri to make his board unblockable. Finally, Temporal Manipulation plus Regrowth give Baal some potential to get his engine going. It's time to roll the tapes. I start the game with an Arid Mesa, cracking it for a Badlands. I then play an Universal Automaton, mostly because I have a potential combo plan further down the road. I then pass the turn. Luís casts a Mana Crypt, using it to cast Sensei's Divining Top and activate it. He sighs and tells the table that top is bad, before playing a Snow Mountain and passing. David takes it slower with a forest before letting Baal get to it. Baal plays a Prismatic Vista and cracks it for a forest. He plays an Elvish Mystic and passes, potentially casting Edric next turn. I play a City of Brass, passing to Luís fully untapped. Luís rolls for the Crypt and wins. He draws, then taps it to activate the top and comment on how it's slowing the game down, but it's the card's fault and not his. He plays a Prismatic Vista, which he cracks for a Snow Mountain. Using the last colorless mana, he activates the top again. He plays a Chromatic Sphere and passes. David plays an island and then an Arcane Signet, ramping up and passing. Baal plays a City of Brass and loses 1 to play Cloud of Fairies. The fairies do what fairies usually do, untap 2 lands, and then Baal casts a Tetsuko Umezawa and a Hope of Girapur, having a full squad ready to draw him cards on his following turn. He passes to me. I play an Urborg and then a Taurian Mauler, which is just a less scary Mana-Gorger Hydra, but also a Minotaur Whale Octopus Snake. I attack David with the Automaton to send a message and pass the turn. Luís rolls for the Crypt. The 50-50 takes the toll, hitting him for 3. Luís plays a Wooded Foothills and fetches for Snow Mountain. With that done, he casts Neheb, triggering my Mauler, and passes to David. David plays an island and then makes us all groan by casting a Rhystic Study and triggering my Mauler once again. With that, he passes his turn. Baal plays an island and casts his commander, Edric. David draws from the study, and my Minotaur Egg Ooze keeps growing larger. Baal then attacks me with the Elf and the Fairies, and David with the Hope of Girapur and Tetsuko. He gets to draw 4 before passing to me fully restocked. I start my turn casting an Ancrop Crasher, giving David a card from the study. The hasty creature means an extra Edric draw. I go ahead and attack David with all my creatures, getting myself 3 new cards. I play a Swamp and pass the turn. Luís rolls and wins. Before moving to his draw step, he activates the top, reconsidering his options. He plays a Scalding Tarn, cracking that for a Snow Mountain to see if he can dig into something actually good. He activates the top again, joking about slow play. Moving to combat, Luís attacks David with his Neheb, who takes the damage. Luís draws a card from Edric and adds 4 red mana from Neheb. He cracks the sphere and draws another card and then activates the top again. He plays a Relic of Progenitus, paying for the study, and cracks the relic with the last mana he had floating. Our graveyards are exiled. Luís uses the top yet again, and at this point we're pretty sure he's looking for something specific. Luís ends his turn by playing a Mishra's Bauble while paying for the study. In the end, my Minotaur Crab Goblin got a bunch of new +1/+1 counters, and I'm not mad about it. David plays a Swamp and then casts a Soul Ring, triggering my Minotaur Dinosaur Cat Lord. He passes to Baal with a lot of mana at the ready, and we're not sure where that could lead. Hopefully to Edric's demise, or counter magic on an extra turn spell. Baal plays a Flooded Strand and seems pretty excited to move to combat. He attacks Luís with Edric, David with Hope of Girapur, and the others go at me. Kinda rude, but that's life. Before damage, Luís draws the top card with Senses Divining top and surprises us with a Pyroblast aimed at Edric. Ruining Baal's plans to fire an extra turn, he is instead forced to negate the Pyroblast, also negating our hopes for this game. My Minotaur Golem Shaman keeps getting bigger, and Baal gets to draw more cards in the process, thanks to Edric. Then, he discards to hand size and passes. It's my turn. I play an Ancient Tomb and intend to move to combat. At this point, David somewhat hints that me attacking Baal would be a pretty good idea, and I'm not sure why. He insists a bit, and I decide to trust that with this combat, foregoing some draws but hoping there's a plan behind it. Baal mentions the possibility of a Tainted Strike, and a Tainted Strike it is as David casts it on my Taurian Mauler. Suddenly, we all see where this could be going. The Infect one-shot. Unfortunately, in response, Baal cracks his Flooded Strand for a basic island and mana drains the Tainted Strike. We move to my second main phase, and I decide to try and do something silly. I cast a Demonic Tutor, not paying for the study, and fetch for a Dockside Extortionist. My idea is to try and combo off of Luís's distraction. I just need him not to remember to crack his bauble, and I will be able to win this turn with Dockside plus the Automaton plus another Minotaur in my hand. That, and a Curio. I cast the Extortionist, not paying for the study still, and Luís is paying attention. My dreams crack along with the bauble as Luís activates it, looking at the top card of my library, which is a Swamp. The treasures I get are not enough to win this turn, and Baal still has a problematic board. It forces me to cast Diabolic Intent, sacrificing the Automaton and giving David another card. I fetch for Fire Covenant and cast it, paying 14 life and dealing with everyone else's creatures while not paying for the study again. Could I have gone straight to this without burning a tutor on a gamble? Yes. Would it be as fun? Heck no. I pass the turn to Luís. Luís wins the Crypt roll. Then, he draws from the delayed bauble trigger. He plays an Ancient Tomb and recasts his commander, paying for the study and triggering my Mauler once again. He passes to David. David plays an untapped Breeding Pool and then plays an Eternal Witness, retrieving that sweet Tainted Strike and threatening another one-shot plan. He then plays a Chrome Mox, exiling Phyrexian Reclamation and casts Flesh Eater Imp. A target for Brokkos, one might add. My Mauler grows ever larger as he passes. Baal casts a Soul Ring and pays for the study with the mana drain mana. He looks at me somewhat concerned, but in my head Baal doesn't have that much of a chance to win. Baal decides to play Edric while not paying for the Risic trigger, and then he passes to me. Everyone is wondering about that Tainted Strike. I play a Bloodstained Mire and cast a Sword of Feast and Famine. I crack the fetch for a basic Swamp and equip the swords on the Crasher, sad about not having an Aggravated Assault at hand. Luís hints at being able to kill me next turn, which will be his last mistake for this game. I look at David before moving to combat, attacking Luís with the Mauler and the Extortionist. David gets the Crasher. I exert the Crasher, stopping Neheb from blocking my creatures. David thinks for a bit and ends up using Tainted Strike to once again make my Mauler infectious. It deals lethal poison damage to Luís, who once again is forced to leave us all prematurely. Sword of Feast and Famine triggers and David discards a Triumph. I untap my lands. I cast a Mana Crypt, paying for the study to try and stop financing David's Risic education for a bit. Of course, I don't follow it through when I cast a Perforus, not paying for the study. Finally, I cast Sethron, not paying again. It triggers itself for a 2/3 Minotaur token and Purpurus deals 4 damage to my opponents. I hope to be able to finish them off on my next combat. On my end step, David casts a Vampiric Tutor for a Fire Shrieker. Doing the math, I quickly realized that my head could be on the chopping block as soon as next turn. Yikes. David starts his turn by playing a Bayou. He then casts Fire Shrieker and mutates his commander onto the Flesh Eater Imp. Not ideal. David equips the Fire Shrieker onto the mutated Brokkos and goes to combat. He attacks me with a 6/6 Flying Trample Double Strike Infect Boyo. We tally the poison up and I'm retired from this game as well. Not only that, but David also has quite the brutal creature up and ready to take down Baal on his next turn. He passes. Baal starts things up with a Mana Crypt, not paying for Rhystic, and then a Temporal Manipulation, not paying again. He has a tight plan to get out of this situation, and Sighs of Relief has the extra turn resolves. Baal then casts an Eternal Witness, not paying again, for the Flooded Strand and cracks it for a Tropical Island. He plays a Personal Tutor, letting David cash in another Rhystic trigger and searches for a Temporal Mastery to the top. David looks at his life total, no longer sure whether or not he'll have a next turn to actually take down the Edric player. It's Baal's turn again. He rolls for the Crypt and loses, and now even the Crypt could prove problematic considering his life total. Baal leaves the entire table in awe as he miraculously reveals a Temporal Mastery from the top of his library, the one he just tutored, and casts it, paying for the Rhystic trigger. He moves on to cast a Finale of Devastation for 3 while paying his Rhystic taxes again. So far, David has not displayed any counter magic, so why would Baal finance his studies? Baal fetches himself for an El Adamri Lord of Leaves, intending to bank on that sweet forest walking elves and Shroud on Edric. We have a thrilling witness showdown as they kill each other. Edric hits David, drawing Baal a card. He plays an island and passes to his next turn. He rolls for the Crypt and wins, saddening the other players standing. He attacks David with Edric and El Adamri, drawing 2 cards this time around. Baal plays the Cradle and casts a Karn's Temporal Sundering, tapping that 1 mana to pay for the last Rhystic trigger. He bounces the studies now that he has the promised lethal damage, David sighs and concedes. Thanks for following us through this match, everyone. Infect might have done a lot of the work, but in the end Baal's Edric took the turns from David, and the match with it. We'd like to start the credits by thanking our current patrons, and especially Izanagi, Stefan, TJ Rapp, Mike Purr, Ajimo, and Igligal, our stack breakers. If you want to support us, you can do so by liking this video, subscribing, or becoming a patron yourself. We'd also like to thank our LGS for sponsoring us with a really cool Watchtower 100 to give away to one of our patrons once August starts. Become a pledge to enter. If you want to go through other Commander adventures, click one of the videos on the right. If you want to talk with us about our games or other EDH related matters, join us on Discord. Come with us again next week for a new set of Commanders and more decisive plays. See you all then.